Now we're worried about Sinji and Dill, and game one is on town?
I mean, I've been seeing Dill go town a lot, and Sinji also has been starting to fall in love with this stage.
It's because they're from the city.
It's from this, yeah, that's right. They're from, well, you know, at least they're from the city part of town and city. But the other reason is that I think the smaller blast zones, Sinji's able to start setting up his kill setups earlier. You know, on a stage like Battlefield, even on a stage like FD, he has to wait until the opponent's at like 140 before he can start looking for a lot of his kill setups. But the smaller blast zones here, just let him, you know, get on top, get started on that a little earlier.
Ooh! That's a nifty play from Sinji, is keeping him in there percentage-wise. His percentages are going to be slow-moving if the legacy between these two players is any indication.
Yeah, I was actually watching Sinji's stream. You know, he is streaming on Twitch, and he was actually practicing a ton of Z drops. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing more of those fruit Z drops. The key actually in hand at the moment is a little low percent for the key. I'm wondering what exactly Sinji is planning. Oh, just a nice clean hit.
See, Z-drop item play is the wave for any item-based character. It gives so much utility out of an item. You threaten with its existence, you're not completely locked to utilizing it instantly. And most notably with Pac-Man's bonus fruit, the Z-drop doesn't maintain their properties of their unique launch angles. Or, for instance, Melon having its altered launches with high knockback, or the Bell having its paralysis effect.
So, from what I'm seeing, the patience right now from Dill is not paying off as much as the patience from Sinji. Because when Sinji plays patient, he has all this time to set up, you know, his kill setups, his, you know, traps, and all of that. Whereas, you know, when Dill is trying to stay patient, all he really
he's going to get keys to the knees.
Yeah, he's just like charging Shadow Ball, and it seems like Sinji has a really easy way of dealing with that. Oh, that's a nice damage, 13%. Yeah, taking that first stock is huge for Sinji. We haven't really seen Dill get any significant damage onto him for a while now, but apple in hand, yeah, he doesn't know what to do with it.
Actually, that was really smart on Dill's part. By throwing the apple down, you're utilizing that particular bonus fruit's animation where it dribbles in place for a long time. And because that's an active hitbox, Sinji has to either avoid it or make a concentrated effort to bring it back into his control, which would have just let Dill pressure him otherwise. It's along the same concept of where someone throws an item deep into the sky, expecting it to drop off stage. It's still active on the field. The character who spawned it can't bring up another one, but it's certainly out of play.
I'm loving the use of Sinji just recycling his trampolines, where, you know, he'll put down this trampoline and then hop on it, and then he'll hop on it again when Dill is not prepared. Oh, that's going to, okay, just goes for the forward tilt, just that guaranteed quick punish. Right now, Sinji at 117%, he has to be really scared of something like an up throw. Oh, that was really crucial flub.
That was like the worst option he could have picked.
I think that was the only move that Mewtwo has that wouldn't kill.
Nice.
Okay, the up tilt going to be the weak hit, meaning that Sinji is staying alive. Lets him, you know, just get more and more chip damage. Oh, boy. Nice back hit from Sinji.
He's going to be asserting all that stage control, and Dill struggling just to get rid of these fire hydras. He's just waiting there. But a forward air is going to be able to allow him to finally clean up the stock. However, 100% accredited onto him already. And Sinji has just shy of 2 minutes to continue up this lead, and he very well could win from timeout.
At the same time, it doesn't look like that's what he's going for. He's going for his kill setups. You see him bust out, you know, the Bell, just even going for those quick hits with the orange, though. The back air going to be big, but not quite big enough. Dill surviving. Oh, we read that roll, but he was a little bit slow on the trigger. Even that Hydra not taking out Dill just yet. And when Mewtwo has all of this rage, he has enough time on the clock that he can still definitely make a comeback. I love that. I love seeing that from Sinji. And
I'm sure Sinji loves seeing that too. Stocks drop, Sinji's going to be taking that game one.
Yeah, and it's at the beginning of that game what you saw was Dill, you know, got that big start. You know, he did like about 50%, like right off the bat onto Sinji, and then started to play patient. You know, he's like, okay, I have the lead. I'm going to do what I would do if I were Sheik and start charging my projectile, throwing it out. But what that actually let Sinji do is, especially on a stage like Town and City with those higher platforms, he was just able to get his setups, and he was able to do traps and traps and traps. And before we really knew it, Dill was at like, you know, 100 plus, and then all of a sudden stock's gone, and he just wasn't really able to make up that ground before the end of the match. So I'm wondering if we might see a little more aggression from Dill this time around. Whether that's even a possibility.
It certainly is. However, no. All right, it's time. It's time for the fun. We have the Sheik. We have the Pac-Man on Final Destination.
Remember how that last game ended at 130 with a Mewtwo?
Yeah.
Mewtwo has some of the best kill power in the game, and it still ended at 130. Sheik has not the kill power of Mewtwo. So, yeah, this is usually in for the long haul. Look at this cool stuff. Oh, I love this so much.
He's just dribbling the key. The cool shit hasn't started it yet. He's just throwing the key for minimal damage right out the gate.
Oh, look at that. Just avoiding the Hydrant there. You can tell that Sinji knows exactly where the Hydrant's going to be, where its hitboxes are. It's so hard to catch him unaware with his own you know, trap like that.
Of course. It's worth noting that even though Sinji is, of course, our Pac-Man player, he is quite a lab monster for the sake of all Pac-Man. It goes without saying that not only does he have like the skill comparative to say that he's one of the best Pac-Man, but he spends a lot of time recognizing what this character could potentially do, recognizing all routes, all situations from this character's very unorthodox but very varied kit. And Dill could shut down like 2/3 of that by holding on to that orange for dear life.
Oh, but there we see him relinquishing that orange. Sinji has some of his options back at his disposal. That was so smart. Seeing that, you know, Dill was going for that bouncing fish over the Hydrant quite frequently. That time he was ready for it. Hey, I'm loving the way that Sinji is just playing this aerial game. Manages to avoid the needles and simultaneously outspace Dill a lot of the time. Look at all of this damage that he's been able to do. Finally, Sinji with the lead once again.
Now, compared to most matchups that we see, and even considering Sinji and Dill from Game 1, this particular matchup is one where percentage lead, no matter how minute, goes a very long way. Because there is a very real possibility of these stocks taking a while to disappear, and more relevantly, this game potentially going into time, going into the big red numbers, because they take so much time to kill each other, not just based off their characters, but they recognize how patient they need to be for those openings.
Oh, the clever stuff. I love to see Sinji go for those creative options. He's sort of forced to, you know, playing this character. Oh, interesting right there. And another thing to say is not only is the time important because that timeout will become a factor, but even at the mid-game like this, where we still have 3.5 minutes on the clock, it's who has to approach. You know, both of these guys are amazing at the defensive play. And when they're the ones who have to be on the aggressive, that's when the lead can just, you know, snowball away from them. An amazing up air, not going to close out the stock, but we do have Sinji at 112%. The key going to trade, that is huge for Sinji, only 114%. And when Dill loses all of that rage, the killing becomes that much harder.
He has the key in hand.
He's a pickpocket. He stole his keys right from under him. Oh, I like the idea with the vanish there.
Very smart. Take advantage of the fact that the trampoline is active on frame 1, just to present something to get out of that nonsense.
So I guess trampoline, oh, he really wanted that one. I guess trampoline not only beats intangibility, but also grab armor.
He just puts it out.
Oh my God. Still seeing the side B coming, goes for that up B, but Dill, Sinji actually able to tech it. And right now, only 35% on Dill. He's playing this game pretty well. The name right now is not, you know, it's not just take Sinji stock. It's try and take as little damage in the process. And 53 is not the kind of numbers he wants to be taking at this point.
I think this game, too, might have been the first instance I've ever seen Sinji wall jump with Pac-Man. And It's not often that you see Pac-Man wall jump. He has such good recovery tools. Though it's worth noting, he does have a really good wall jump. It adds into the plethora of offstage options that Sinji has to his advantage.
Okay, key in hands now for Dill. Yeah, I'm not sure if he knows what to do. Yeah, just throws it out there. But at the same time, managed to take away that setup from Sinji.
I feel like Dill would do well to recognize the importance of Z-dropping that key, keeping that in his control. Because if you could go between Z-dropping and a naring with Sheik, it's a phenomenal way of keeping items out of item play-oriented characters like Pac-Man.
1% separating these two at the moment. The key almost becoming a factor there. Finally, Dill has the lead, and we see that, like, Sinji, he's a player that takes a lot of time to set. He needs time to, build these traps up. And with only, like, about a minute on the clock right here, that's a huge for Dill, because that means that he doesn't have to, like, he can just let Sinji go and, charge up his fruit, set down the hydrant, because he's just eating away at the clock of himself, but he breaks his shield. But the question is, will he be able to kill him? He does! Wow! Sinji with less than a minute on the clock. That was one of the only win conditions he had, and he manages to get it. That was phenomenal. Wow.
That's some impressive shield pressure. The way that he was forced to sit in shield prior to that, to play defensively throughout the entire latter half of that match, such a smart option from Sinji, because he knew that the shield was coming out, and he had just the right setup to pressure that shield.